Texas real estate, it was booming. Now it's busting. Across the Lone Star State, the real estate market is sliding.
For years, they called it the Texas Miracle, a promise of endless jobs, sprawling suburbs, and a housing market that defied every economic law.
Texas real estate is cracking in ways few people expected. While the headlines still brag about growth, the truth on the ground is very different. In some towns, home prices have already fallen by 20%, 30%, and even nearly 50% since 2022. Families are priced out by soaring mortgage rates. Investors are bailing as insurance and property taxes spiral, and once booming markets are turning into ghost towns. But here's what most media won't tell you. The pain isn't spread evenly. Some cities are still holding steady, while others are collapsing faster than anyone predicted. In this countdown, we'll cover the 10 Texas cities where nobody is buying, prices are crashing, and 2025 could get even worse. Number 10. Big Spring. Welcome to West Texas oil country, where black gold once guaranteed green real estate returns. Not anymore. This city of 26,000 residents just watched its housing market collapse faster than a derrick in a windstorm. The numbers are brutal. Average home prices plummeted from $188,450 in 2022 to just $145,554 today. That's a 23% nosedive, over $42,000 evaporated. What triggered this meltdown? Oil and gas layoffs hit like a sledgehammer. The Permian Basin, Big Spring's economic lifeline, saw drilling activity slow dramatically in 2024. When oil prices slipped below $70 per barrel, energy companies slashed budgets and cut workers. Median household income hovers around $53,000. But with inflation stubbornly stuck at 4%, fewer families feel confident enough to buy homes. Mortgage rates near 7% turned affordable homes into budget busters. Even a $150,000 house now costs around $1,500 monthly, barely cheaper than pre-crash payments despite massive price drops. Higher interest rates are the hidden villain in this story. The supply situation tells the real story. Housing inventory exploded 42% year over year. Homes sit vacant for an average of 108 days before getting serious offers. That's nearly double the market time from 2021. Desperate sellers are slashing prices, but buyers remain skeptical about small-town energy economies. For bargain hunters, Big Spring represents opportunity. Properties selling for 60 to 70 cents on the pandemic dollar. But buyer beware. This market depends entirely on energy sector recovery. If oil rebounds, Big Spring could stabilize. If not, this crash might just be getting started. Number 9. Pecos. Saddle up for some harsh reality from this historic West Texas rodeo town. The only thing falling faster than bull riders here are home prices. And the drop is absolutely spectacular. Brace yourself for these numbers. Average home values crashed from $292,250 in 2022 to just $168,550 today. That's a staggering 42% collapse, one of the steepest declines in our entire countdown. Over $123,000 in value, gone. Pecos rides the wild roller coaster of Permian Basin oil fortunes. When crude prices soared during the pandemic energy crunch, Pecos boomed. Workers flooded in, housing demand exploded, and prices went parabolic. But 2024 brought the hangover. Oil prices softened, drilling activity slowed, and pink slips started flying. Median household income sits around $52,000, but energy job uncertainty has families choosing rent over mortgages. With 30-year rates at 7%, even a drastically reduced home price of $168,000 still requires monthly payments around $1,300. Add insurance at $3,100 annually, and homeownership feels risky for locals. Here's the cruel irony. Despite massive price cuts, monthly mortgage payments haven't dropped proportionally. In 2022, financing a $292,000 house cost about $2,000 monthly. Today's $168,000 home still runs $1,300 monthly due to higher rates. For investors with cash, Pecos offers deeply discounted real estate. Think a 42% crash sounds extreme? Hold on to your hat. Our next market proves that border economics can be just as brutal. Number 8. Rio Grande City. Journey to South Texas, where the Rio Grande meets a real estate reality check. This border city's housing market is experiencing its own kind of crossing crisis. and prices are heading south fast. The damage is significant but not catastrophic. Average home prices slid from $160,280 in 2022 to $125,775 today. That's a 21% decline, representing over $34,000 in lost value per property. Rio Grande City faces unique economic challenges that distinguish it from oil-dependent markets. Median household income averages just $39,000, well below the Texas average of $73,000. When mortgage rates jumped to 7%, even modestly priced homes became unaffordable for many local families. The job market struggles with limited opportunities beyond agriculture, retail, and government positions. Post-pandemic economic recovery has been sluggish, and many industries haven't rebounded to pre-2020 levels. This employment uncertainty makes potential buyers extremely cautious about taking on mortgage debt. Financial pressures extend beyond housing costs. Property taxes run about 2.3%, creating annual bills around $2,900 on a $125,000 home. For families earning $39,000 annually, that tax burden feels substantial. Monthly mortgage payments illustrate the rate impact perfectly. In 2022, financing a $160,000 home cost roughly $1,150 monthly. Today's lower-priced homes still require about $1,000 monthly due to higher interest rates. Despite economic challenges, Rio Grande City maintains cultural richness and community spirit. But here's what's really shocking. If you think border towns have it rough, wait until you see what's happening in Texas Pecan Country. Number 7. San Saba. In the heart of Pecan Country, the nuts aren't the only things getting cracked open. This small central town of 3,000 residents is watching its real estate market shell out some serious pain. The financial damage cuts deep. Home prices tumbled from $230,115 in 2022 to $180,590 today. That's a 22% drop, translating to nearly $50,000 in lost equity per property. San Saba embodies rural Texas challenges that extend far beyond oil market volatility. Limited job opportunities outside agriculture create economic vulnerability that high mortgage rates exploit mercilessly. Median household income around $42,000 simply cannot support expensive housing when borrowing costs soar. The supply-demand imbalance grows more pronounced monthly. Listings jump 34% over 12 months, while buyer interest continues evaporating. Homes sit unsold for an average of 120 days. 4 months of carrying costs, price cuts, and financial stress for sellers desperate to escape. Property tax burdens compound the affordability crisis. Annual rates around 2% create $3,600 bills on $180,000 properties. Insurance premiums average $2,500 yearly. These carrying costs pressure family budgets already strained by inflation. Rural Texas faces demographic headwinds that urban markets avoid. Young adults often leave small towns for better opportunities in major metros like Austin or Dallas. This outmigration reduces the local buyer pool while increasing housing supply as older residents downsize. For investors seeking small-town opportunities, San Saba offers discounted rural real estate. Think rural towns are taking the worst hit? Think again. Our next city shows that agricultural economies are getting crushed across the board. Number 6. Vernon. Head north to the Oklahoma border, where this agricultural hub of 10,000 residents is harvesting some bitter real estate medicine. Cotton and cattle built this town, but mortgage rates are tearing it down. The price decline hits hard but not catastrophically. Average home values drop from $121,556 in 2022 to $95,801 today. That's a 21% slide, costing homeowners over $25,000 in equity. Vernon's agricultural economy faces multiple pressures that compound housing market challenges. Drought conditions in 2023 and 2024 devastated crop yields, reducing farm incomes across the region. Cotton and wheat profits tightened significantly, directly impacting local spending power and confidence. Median household income around $44,000 struggles against rising costs everywhere. Property taxes jumped 8% countywide in 2024, adding financial burden to homeowners already dealing with higher insurance premiums and maintenance costs. When every expense increases except income, housing becomes unaffordable quickly. The mortgage rate impact creates particular pain in smaller markets like Vernon. Higher borrowing costs price out local buyers who might otherwise upgrade or purchase first homes. Young families increasingly choose nearby Wichita Falls for better employment opportunities, reducing Vernon's buyer pool. Monthly payment comparisons reveal the interest rate trap. In 2022, typical mortgage payments averaged $950 monthly. Despite lower prices today, buyers still pay around $800 monthly due to 7% rates. Agricultural communities like Vernon need favorable weather, stable commodity prices, and affordable credit to thrive. But hold on tight. If you thought farming towns were struggling, our next stop in wind energy country will blow you away with its market collapse. Number 5. Sweetwater. Roll into West Texas wind country, where renewable energy was supposed to power prosperity. Instead, this town of 10,500 residents is watching its housing market spin out of control. The price destruction is significant. Average home values crashed from $140,525 in 2022 to $115,554 today. That's a 25% plunge, erasing exactly $25,000 in homeowner wealth. Sweetwater's economy mixes wind energy, agriculture, and oil, all cyclical industries vulnerable to external shocks. When oil prices declined in late 2024, job stability vanished quickly. The famous Rattlesnake Roundup Festival brings tourists, but tourism doesn't pay mortgages or property taxes. Outmigration accelerates the housing crisis. Young professionals and families increasingly abandon small rural towns for major metropolitan areas offering better career prospects. Abilene and Dallas provide opportunities that Sweetwater simply cannot match, draining the local buyer pool systematically. Median household income around $48,000 makes even discounted homes challenging to afford. 7% mortgage rates transform modest purchases into budget-stretching commitments. Monthly payments on $115,000 homes still approach $830, plus taxes and insurance. Investment demand remains weak compared to tourist-heavy markets. Airbnb opportunities are limited in small West Texas towns lacking major attractions or business travel. Rental markets struggle when local incomes can't support market rate rents. Insurance costs add another layer of financial pressure. For buyers willing to embrace small-town life, Sweetwater offers affordable rural living. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And stick around because the top 4 cities ahead show even steeper price crashes you won't believe. Number 4. Ozona. Deep in the heart of Texas oil country sits this tiny town of 3,200 residents, where the housing market crash is anything but small. Welcome to what locals call the biggest little town in the world. Though the only big thing here now is the price collapse. Prepare for some shocking numbers. Home values imploded from $190,000, $107 in 2022 to just $100,020 today. That's a devastating 47% crash, nearly half the value vanishing like a mirage in the West Texas desert. Ozona epitomizes single industry economic vulnerability. Oil and gas operations drive virtually everything here, from job creation to local spending to real estate demand. When crude prices falter or drilling activity slows, towns like Ozona feel the impact immediately and intensely. Crockett County's remote location compounds economic challenges. Limited transportation infrastructure and distance from major metros restrict business diversification opportunities. Remote work hasn't penetrated deeply here. Most jobs require physical presence in oil fields or supporting industries. Median household income around $46,000 falls well below the Texas average, making mortgage affordability particularly sensitive to interest rate changes. 7% borrowing costs price out potential buyers who might otherwise consider homeownership, especially in uncertain economic times. The supply-demand imbalance reaches extreme levels. Housing inventory exploded 35% in just 12 months, while buyer interest remains virtually non-existent. Homes sit on the market for an average of 112 days, nearly 4 months of carrying costs and price reduction pressure. Now here's the plot twist. If you think tiny oil towns are the only ones crashing, our next destination will shock you. We're heading to the coast where paradise meets financial disaster. Number 3. Galveston. Paradise Lost meets real estate reality on this historic Gulf Coast island. Once Texas's hottest vacation home market, Galveston now offers a masterclass in how natural disasters, insurance costs, and economic shifts can sink property values faster than a hurricane storm surge. The financial damage cuts deep into island dreams. Average home prices crashed from $380,250 in 2022 to $330,187 today. That's a 13% decline, representing over $49,000 in vanished equity per property. Insurance costs drive much of Galveston's housing crisis. Hurricane seasons and flood risks sent homeowners' insurance premiums into the stratosphere. Typical premiums jumped from $3,500 annually in 2022 to over $7,000 today. Some property owners now pay more for insurance than mortgage payments, a financial nightmare that makes homeownership unsustainable. Tourism and short-term rental dependence creates additional vulnerability. Domestic travel spending declined significantly in 2024 and 2025, reducing vacation rental income that many property owners depend upon. New municipal regulations restricting short-term rentals further reduced investor demand and property values. Median household income around $58,000 cannot support current home prices, making the market heavily dependent on out-of-town buyers who are increasingly cautious. Higher mortgage rates price out second home buyers who previously drove demand. Monthly payment reality illustrates the affordability crisis perfectly. In 2022, average payments on $380,000 homes reached $2,500 monthly. Despite price reductions, today's rates keep payments near $2,300 monthly. Coastal charm remains undeniable. But here's the real bombshell. If beachfront properties are struggling this much, wait until you see what's happening in Austin's former Golden Child suburbs. Number 2. Georgetown. Once the crown jewel of Austin's suburban explosion, this prettiest small city in America is experiencing a very ugly housing market reckoning. The pandemic boom that made Georgetown a household name has turned into a post-pandemic bust that's rewriting property values. The numbers paint a picture of suburban excess meeting economic reality. Home prices plummeted from $550,850 in 2022 to $420,756 today. That's a brutal 23% crash, wiping out over $130,000 in homeowner wealth. Georgetown's pandemic growth story reads like a real estate fairy tale turned nightmare. California refugees, remote workers, and Austin commuters flooded this charming suburb 30 miles north of downtown. Demand exploded, prices soared, and everyone believed the party would never end. Reality arrived with 7% mortgage rates and return to office mandates. Median household income around $80,000 suddenly couldn't support six-figure price appreciation. Buyers disappeared, inventory accumulated, and price cuts became routine rather than exceptional. The inventory explosion signals market distress across all price ranges. Listings surged 38% from last year as overextended homeowners and reluctant sellers flood the market. Remote workers called back to offices are downsizing or relocating, adding supply pressure. Property tax reality adds insult to injury. Williamson County averages 2.2% of assessed value, creating annual bills around $9,200 on $420,000 homes. Add insurance premiums exceeding $3,500 yearly, and carrying costs remain elevated despite price reductions. But Georgetown's crash is nothing compared to our number one city. A place where the American dream turned into a complete nightmare, and the numbers will leave you speechless. Number 1. Leander. Welcome to ground zero of Texas's housing market collapse. This Austin suburb that epitomized pandemic boom excess now leads the entire state in price destruction. Leander's crash isn't just a market correction, it's a complete repudiation of speculative excess. Brace yourself for these devastating numbers. Average home prices imploded from $590,000 in 2022 to $450,980 today. That's a 24% collapse, destroying nearly $140,000 in homeowner equity. Leander's growth story was absolutely insane during the pandemic. It ranked among America's fastest growing cities as remote workers and California refugees bid up prices to astronomical levels. Local incomes averaging $92,000, high for Texas but inadequate for $600,000 homes, should have warned everyone this was unsustainable. 7% mortgage rates exposed the fundamental affordability crisis immediately. Properties that required $4,000 monthly payments in 2022 still demand $3,200 monthly today despite massive price cuts. That's a crushing burden for families already dealing with inflation in everything from groceries to gasoline. The inventory explosion tells the complete panic story. Listings skyrocketed 45% compared to last year as desperate sellers slashed prices to move properties. Many pandemic buyers used adjustable rate mortgages that are resetting higher, forcing quick sales to avoid foreclosure. Property tax reality adds another layer of financial pain. Annual rates around 2.3% create nearly $10,000 bills on $450,000 homes. Insurance costs exceed $4,500 yearly. These carrying costs remain elevated despite falling values, pressuring homeowners from multiple directions. Leander retains substantial long-term advantages: proximity to Austin's job market, excellent schools, family-friendly communities, and strong growth fundamentals. But current conditions represent a perfect storm of over-leveraged buyers, speculative excess, and macroeconomic headwinds. For cash buyers with long-term perspective, Leander offers deeply discounted suburban living. 10 Texas cities, one clear message. The housing market reckoning is here, and it's hitting harder than anyone expected. From oil-dependent boomtowns losing nearly half their value to suburban Austin markets shedding six-figure sums, the Lone Star State is proving that no market is immune to economic gravity. Buyers with cash or strong credit may find their moment as properties sell for 60 to 70 cents on the pandemic dollar, but selectivity is key. Diversified economies and long-term growth potential matter more than chasing the cheapest deals. For current homeowners, realism is more valuable than optimism. Over-leveraged households or those facing payment resets should weigh their options early rather than risk deeper losses later. Investors will see both danger and promise. Energy-driven towns may tempt with steep discounts but come with high volatility, while suburban Austin offers steadier fundamentals that reward patient capital. Renters, too, may finally gain an edge as falling prices and motivated sellers create rare opportunities. But when rates ease, competition will heat up again. Which of these Texas markets surprised you most? Are you seeing similar trends in your area? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your insights help shape future videos. And if you're dealing with any of these markets personally, share your story. Real experiences from real people make this community invaluable. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one where we explore the flip side: Texas cities where prices are still climbing and why.